This has been a popular corner of the house. Most recently, I had honeybees trying to enter into this location to build the hives. And also you can see evidence of the squirrels that was scratching, and here's more evidence of the scratching wanting to be able to get into the house. Well, it's time to print some more of these rodent stoppers to be able to put into the bottom of this vinyl corner to be able to prevent them from getting in. In addition to that, I'm going to be doing some additional work with the bondo, and that will completely seal that corner, preventing any type of rodents or those honeybees from being able to get back into the house. In the previous video, and I'll put a link to that in the description below, I actually showed you specifically how to design these rodent stoppers to be able to go into the bottom of that vinyl siding for those outside corners. So far I have made several of them and they are working absolutely fantastic, but I do need a couple more. So here's one that's finished right now that we're going to be using today to be able to plug that outside corner and use the bondo to finish sealing where that squirrel played havoc and tore up the siding. Typically you're going to have a problem such as this at ground level, and that's due to the weed eater coming just a little bit too close. And I'm going to be fixing this in the same manner. I'll put the plug into it and a little bondo will solve that problem. To start, I'm going to use this aluminum tape to be able to create a form, or a backing if you will, to be able to support the bondo. On this aluminum tape you have a little paper backing that you need to be able to remove, and that will expose that very sticky material that is going to act as the adhesive to hold this aluminum tape in. And this will work very good because it will be long lasting. It's not going to deteriorate because it is actually a thin piece of metal. Now what I want to be able to do is form it so it will slip right up inside and fit right at the bottom of this vinyl siding. Now because this tape is so sticky, it's being just a little bit stubborn and it's hard to be able to get it in place. But what I want to do is create the form, and I want to be able to have it where it's a little bit below the actual finished surface so that at that bondo will have a little bit of material to be able to build up on it. And when I make this little bend in the corner, I actually ended up making it just a little bit too shallow, and I'll show you why in just a moment. I needed to be able to have it stick out just a little bit more for that cap to fit in. So after just a few minutes, this is what it looks like. I have the aluminum tape in there to be able to create that form, and that opening now is completely sealed all the way to the top. And I'm trying to create a good corner right there to be able to make it where that bondo will be able to go in there. Next, I want to be able to put the cap into the bottom to be able to seal that hole. And this is the cap that I had just created and pulled off of the 3D printer. And I want to be able to put that right into the bottom of this outside corner, and I want to be able to have that on the inside of that aluminum tape. And this has worked really well. Now I put one of these on another corner and it slipped in perfectly. So now I want to be able to do the same thing with this corner and just slip it into this opening. Everything was going great until I got to that outer portion of that outside corner. That tape just was not out there far enough. So the only solution is to be able to cut this tape just a little bit and give myself a little bit more room. I didn't want to tear the tape, so I just took a scissors and just clipped it right there at that corner. And that was all that was needed. At that point I could easily slide in this cap and then put the tape on the outside of that cap. With that outer edge of the tape cut, this cap now fit in very easily, and I could push it up and get it exactly where I want it, which was right at the bottom of the outside corner. And then I just put the tape back over onto the outer portion of that cap, and we're all set. A little extra shaping to make sure that everything is sealed and that is now ready for the bondo. You can see this one little edge of the tape was sticking up a little bit high, so I'm just going to push that down, flatten it, and that should work just fine. So now I'm ready to be able to mix up the bondo, and I want to show you one more thing that I actually did wrong with mixing of the bondo. When you add the hardener to the bondo. You want to use just a tiny little bit. I actually used a little bit too much. When I squeezed the tube, more came out than what I wanted to. I did mix it real quick, but it did harden extremely fast. I think I had probably less than about 5 minutes of working time with this bondo. Not really what I had planned, but at least I was able to get the bondo onto the area before it completely hardened. It will take a second coat of the bondo, but that's all right. I had planned on putting a second coat on there anyway, but at this point it's already getting hard as I'm putting this bondo onto this corner. So I had to work very quick to get the bondo on here. And quite frankly, if it had hardened just a little bit more, I think I would have just thrown this away and made up another batch. But at any rate, I was able to get the bondo on. I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm ready to sand it. When you sand this bondo, even outdoors, please wear the dust mask. You do not want this dust to get into your lungs. So I have the dust mask on. I'm going to sand this real quick and be able to get this down nice and smooth. Now remember, I'm going to put a second coat on this to be able to make sure that it's completely smooth and looks absolutely great. And then I'm just going to shoot it with just a little bit of paint to match the color. But at this rate, I want to be able to show you what the first coat looked like after putting this bondo on and that little cap at the bottom of this vinyl siding. So here you go. This is what it looked like before with the squirrels doing this thing, and this is what it looked like at the end with the first coat of the bondo and the cap in place. I'm moving over now to a different corner of the house, and I want to show you a different problem that I want to be able to solve. Now I'm going to use the same cap that I did before. I had just finished printing another one off of the 3D printer. But this corner is actually designed a little bit different. On this front side that you're looking at, yeah, that's very similar. However, on the side, it looks a little bit different. And you can see this line right there is not pulled out the way the normal siding would be. And that's the reason it had to be modified to be able to fit around the brick. Now on this side over here, that is going to be the normal way that you would typically find it. So let me go ahead and put this in and we'll have this job finished. Now this one needed to be notched out right here because of the way the siding was designed around this porch. But that's really an easy fix, and I can just trim it and then put this one in. And this J channel is sticking out more than what it should also. So I'm just going to push that back a little bit and it still should fit in there just fine. So this is just going to be a little bit different, and this is more cosmetic and to be able to keep the bees out because there's really no place for a varmint to go. So I just want to be able to keep the bees out of this area and put this cap in for cosmetic reasons. Pushing over that little piece of J channel proved to be a little bit harder than I expected, but what I decided to do is just take a little screwdriver and pry out the siding just a little bit, and that's all that was necessary to be able to allow this cap to be able to fit into this outside corner. I did need to have a little bit of persuasion with the rubber hammer just to tap it in on the side, because of some extra vinyl siding over there, but that's okay. That's going to make for a very nice, snug, tight fit, and I don't have to worry about this cap falling out. So you can see that it's easy to be able to modify these caps when necessary so that they'll fit into the different applications as you go around your house. Now I've got 2 more to be able to put in to be able to finish this job, and of course those are going to be on the bottom down at the ground level.